What is up guys, it's Cal, and now in this video we'll be talking about something that I don't really touch on my channel, and that is classic World of Warcraft. I mean, I originally made a video about it when it was first announced the last BlizzCon, but then nothing since then. Mostly due to the fact that there really hasn't been any updates since then. Although, I don't blame Blizzard entirely for that, because what is there to update us on? Classic WoW is Classic WoW after all. But just a mere, hey, we're working on it, would have been nice. Well, we just got a major update regarding Classic WoW yesterday. There was a blue post, released by Blizzard, that I'll just summarize for all of you. It is in the making. Well, that and a few other things. The biggest concern that the community had with the announcement of Classic WoW was how classic would it be exactly. What I mean by this is, would they release Classic WoW at patch 1.1.2, which was the first patch open to the public after beta, or would they go straight to patch 1.12, which was the final patch of vanilla, which had Blackwing Lair in it, it had AQ, it had 40-man Axaramis, and on top of all that, it had all the bug tweaks and class equalizing that the end of vanilla WoW had. Well, what the blue post states is that when Classic WoW is released, it will be patch 1.12, which personally, I'm completely okay with, and in all honesty, I was hoping that they would do this to begin with. After all, patch 1.12 does represent the most complete version of the classic experience. I believe so anyway. I think it makes complete sense to give us the classic version of the game after all the class tuning went into effect and all the game breaking bugs are fixed, like being able to kite Kazakh to Stormwind, or how paladins could stack the Reckoning talent thousands of times making them complete gods. But then there are some more harmless bugs which I kind of wish weren't fixed at all, like getting under Stormwind or getting on top of Ironforge, since flying mounts obviously weren't a thing back then. Now what else have they been up to? Other than letting us know what patch will be starting out when Classic comes along? Well, they created a first prototype of Classic WoW, and this is what they said about that experience. Once we had our starting point, we began taking stock of what we had in the source code and what we could make available, which included restoring the original development database from archival backups. After stitching various key pieces together, we had a locally rebuilt version of patch 1.12 running internally. The team could create characters and do basic questing and leveling and dying, which we did many times, for testing purposes, obviously. So after this first prototype was created, they did run into some problems, which was to be expected. The game would crash occasionally, also the game didn't recognize the team's modern video cards. This first prototype also didn't support any of the modern security or anti-cheating capabilities that they use today. So then they went to work on a second prototype, which had a lot more engineering and technical work with it. So this is what they said about the second prototype. Would it still be possible to deliver an authentic classic experience if we took our modern code, with all its backend improvements and changes, and used it to process the patch 1.12 game data? While that might seem counterintuitive, this would inherently include classic systems like skill ranks, old quests, and terrain, talents, and so on, while later features like transmog and achievements would effectively not exist because they were entirely absent from the data. After weeks of R&D, experimentation, and prototyping, we were confident we could deliver the classic WoW content and gameplay without sacrificing the literally millions of hours put into back-end development over the past 13 years. So they were able to remake the classic experience, and it was compatible with modern security systems. And then they went on to explain some more of the back end of things, which is always interesting to hear about, but they mentioned something about spells that I wasn't completely aware of. So after they made the second prototype, they were faced with the challenge of reworking the backend, since it's changed drastically over 13 years. For example, they had to port spells onto a modern table form. This doesn't mean the damage or effects of the spells will change at all, they just needed to modernize it to work with their current tech. So back in the days of vanilla, spells were only capable of having 3 effects tied to them. So Fireball, for example, had the effect of dealing damage, and then it had a second effect of applying an aura, and this aura back then was a dot. It left a dot on the target. Then it had nothing for the third effect. Same with Frostbolts. Its first effect dealt damage, and its second effect applied an aura to the target, and that aura slowed the target down, which you can also see in the table. But then it had no third effect, so the nothingness just looks ugly. So they decided to improve their data tables to look something like this. Now keep in mind, even though they have the technology to do so, they're not going to just add a third or fourth effect to some of these abilities like Fireball or Frostbolt. They just decided to clean things up a bit. Now this table system isn't just limited to spells, it includes pretty much everything the game has to offer, like items, creatures, player characters, spawning, AI, and much more. So now, what is left to do? Well, first off, a major plus with maintaining these servers 13 years later is that they're maintained on a platform that is much more optimized and stable than it was a decade ago, meaning that latency and stability issues are much more manageable. Now, just a couple more things that they have left to improve on is applying a modern anti-cheat system to the game, customer service, and of course, Battle.net integration, none of which will alter the core gameplay of the game, which is exactly what we want. So there we have it. Honestly, It's a lot further along than I anticipated. I honestly thought Classic WoW would have a release window of 2020 or 2021 at the earliest, but we may see even sooner than that. 2019 perhaps? Who knows? But this just means we'll undoubtedly hear more about it at this year's BlizzCon, which starts November 2nd. So yeah, I'm curious to know what you guys think. Did you play Classic and are excited about this? Or did you not play Classic and are still excited about this? Or did you not play Classic and you think this is stupid and they're wasting their time? Because I know that there's a vocal portion of the audience that believes that. But that's what the comments are for. And the entire blue post that I was looking at will be in the description if you'd like to read it. But that's the entire video, guys. If you liked it, you can leave a like on it. You can sub to the channel for more videos like this. And I'll see you guys in the next video.